talk about going into the NBA, talking about the Chicago Bulls, who recently dropped their last 3 games, and the most recent game being a loss to the Orlando Magic. And it doesn't seem like the Bulls team that we've come to know over the past few years that play stout defense, where we're just not tough and Russell team under Tom Thibodeau. Now with Fred Hoiberg taking the helm, it doesn't seem like they're that same team, and that they've gone through a lot of struggles. I mean, they lost by, it was 111-89. So and then now it's kind of caused friction in the locker room, where we see some players are like, well, we don't know guys are exactly all meshing. Like Mike Dunleavy said, it's a lot of the issues ailing the Bulls. It's not just one little thing here or there. It's not on the defensive end or the offensive end. It's both. It's just a lot of stuff to say. To say it's like one thing we're not doing right and that would solve everything, that's just not the case. It's a bunch of stuff we're struggling with, not only with effort, but execution and discipline and continuity. You can go through the whole thing. So from that standpoint, I can't sit here and say it's one thing or we're not playing hard enough. We need to do everything better. Then when Jimmy Butler was asked about the same thing, he kind of dove in a little deeper. He said, we're going to find out if somebody's got a problem with somebody or if they don't like the way somebody's doing something. Now's the time to speak up on it. We've been talking about it all year long. We don't really have that much confrontation. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I just hope that things get changed, because I think we all want to be in the playoffs. And from the looks of it,
it looks like y'all want to be in.
Exactly. It doesn't exactly look like they're
36-36.
Yeah, exactly. And they're behind the Pistons for the last spot in the Eastern Conference. And
3 games, man.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. It's like do or die time now, because there's relatively only 10 games. There is only 10 games in the season left, and this is the time to make that push for your playoff spot. So, what do you guys think is wrong with the Bulls this season? Rashad, we'll start with you. What do you think?
They haven't been as efficient on defense. Their offense still hasn't improved any. They battled injuries. And I guess you could say since Derrick Rose kind of like first healthy season in a sense since his injuries, he just hasn't really been meshing well with his new role on the team. I still don't think Derrick Rose can accept the fact that it's not his team anymore, to the point where it's affecting the way Jimmy Butler plays and stuff as well. So you just look at this and you have a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of problems coming with the team inside on the court, which is the offensive and defensive efficiency lowering, and inside the locker room, which we had early in the season when Derrick Rose talking about free agency and stuff like that, and Jimmy Butler coming out and say, hey, we need everybody on the same page, anything like that, and then everybody pointing to, hey, this is Jimmy Butler's our leader now and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna say it's solely Derrick Rose, but Derrick Rose does have a part to play with it. But I don't feel like these off the court issues should affect how they play on the court. There should be no reason that 36-36 with this team, how they were playing last year, years before. I'm not going to say Fred is the reason, but he's definitely not doing any better than what Tom was doing. So it's just a big mess in Chicago.
All right, Kyle, what about you?
Too many aspects of that game is just falling off. Like the defense isn't as good as it is. They're 14th in defensive efficiency, points allowed. They're 14th. They should be a whole lot. They should at least be in that top 10 area. With the defensive lineup they got. One, they seem too lazy. Like in that Orlando Magic game, I was watching a couple of clips. Like they wouldn't protect the paint. And it's sad because you have Paul Gasol down there, and you see a player coming up about to hit him with a layup or going for alley-oops and stuff like that, and you don't even jump and put your hands up and try and stop it. I think they just lagging on the defense a little bit. They're getting a little lazy. Offense, I think they're forcing too many shots. Their shooting has become it's just been bad. They're 20th in scoring now, and it's just their offense have just fallen off. With Derrick Rose in the lineup, I feel like it definitely affects it a bit, because he, like Rashad said, I don't think he's accepted his role yet. And he needs to know that he can't take the lead on the team anymore, and that Jimmy Butler will be the main guy for the team most of the time. You have to play your role to help not only him, but the other players on the team get their looks and get their spots and stuff like that. And you can't always just force yourself to try and be the best on the team. You've been hurt, so you still gotta have that time, that mentality that you're not the best, as good as you were. So I do think that Derrick Rose being in the lineup hurts the team a little bit because of his mindset. Some things internally may be hurting the Bulls organization because, like I said, they're just so lazy. It's just they have no motivation to win anymore.
I like them stats.
I got you.
I feel as though with the Bulls, it's kind of a tricky situation because I think as on the outside looking in, we all will attribute it to the Derrick Rose Jimmy Butler dynamic. But from insiders on the Bulls, it seems as though it kind of goes deeper than that a bit because when they look at it's not exactly Fred Hoiberg's fault, but it's just that the Bulls aren't because Fred Hoiberg is more of a relaxed coach, whereas Tom Thibodeau was more of he was a very exuberant kind of guy, and the Bulls have kind of taken on more so of Tom Thibodeau's identity. So where Fred Hoiberg's approach, the Bulls are a little bit more resistant to how he tends to want to try and coach the games and stuff. He's more relaxed, and he even has said that the team in shoot arounds and everything, they're way more focused in shoot around and in practice than when they get into games. Like you were saying, Colin, like they in defense, it seems as though it's just the wandering bodies. They're just lost. I mean, even though Pau Gasol's never really been a defensive player, it seems as though here like nobody is even making the attempt. I mean, one thing that I feel as though has been attributed to that's contributed to this big dip off in the Bulls playing style has been because of Joakim Noah being on the bench and obviously having gotten season-ending shoulder surgery. So with him, when he was initially relegated to the bench, Joakim Noah was the emotional leader for this team. Joakim Noah was the guy that brought the fight. Joakim Noah played the role of Draymond Green in Chicago. Joakim Noah was the fire starter. You got everything going for these guys. He was the heart and soul of this team. Former defensive player of the year and everything. And then with his myriad of injuries, he had to be relegated to the bench. And then with Fred Hoiberg doing that, it kind of lessened Joakim Noah's voice in the locker room. So then after he's relegated to the bench and he goes out with shoulder surgery, they're looking for a leader. And Derrick Rose has never really been that vocal leader. I heard you guys saying that he was like trying to be the leader, but he's never really been that guy. He's kind of been the silent guy that kind of just he's like, I'm showing up, I'm gonna play kind of guy. He's never really been the vocal kind of guy. And then it seems as though when Jimmy Butler tries to take on that leadership role, he kind of gets some push and tug with veteran players on that team. So it's kind of like a difficult thing for him to kind of assume that role also. So it seems as though the team is kind of lost a bit because they don't
have no leader.
Yeah,
they don't want Jimmy Butler as the leader either.
And Taj Gibson is trying to fill that role for them because Taj Gibson kind of has that same fire to the way he plays, the same style of play, that grit and hustle game. And yet it hasn't worked since Joakim Noah went out. And so you look at it now, and with them being outside of the playoffs, I just want you guys think this is a broken team.
I think they are lost. They are definitely lost. They need something to just put them back together. They need a leader, like a congruent leader, somebody that they're actually going to listen to and agree upon, and what's the word I'm looking for? They're going to I can't think of the word, but they're just gonna work well with that one person, leading the charge. I feel like
the word you're looking for, follow?
Not follow.
Mesh.
Yeah, mesh. Something like mesh. But someone they mesh well with. So they definitely need that. And they just need to adjust to whatchamacallit, Fred, what's the last name? Hoiberg. His defensive, his coaching style. They definitely need to adjust to that so that they can be more relaxed in the game and not forcing so much, or they can step up a little bit and stop being so lazy on defense.
All right, Rashad.
I have to put it towards injuries. Injuries have affected their season a lot this year. Like you said, Joakim Noah is out. Jimmy Butler's been out for a time. Derrick Rose has missed some games. Paul Gasol's missed some games. So you look at it like this whole team has been in and out of the the lineup. So when the team was pretty much healthy like last season and season before, you see what they can do. You see how they can play. You see they can make a nice run in the Eastern Conference. Because if this team was fully healthy, they would not be fighting for the 8th spot. I can guarantee that. Even though I don't think it's a team that could have come in the season could have competed with the Cavaliers, but they're not an AFC team. They're not a non-playoff team. They've just been battling injuries, and I feel like when you battle injuries, you start losing, and losing brings out parts of people that they didn't know they had, anger towards and animosity towards each other that you didn't know you had at one point.
They know they had it, they just won't vocalize it.
It pretty much. So what do you think, Brendan?
Injuries do play a big part in it. I mean, injuries will pretty much when you're losing your best players, it's hard to continue to play at a high level. But the weird thing about the injury thing is that because even under Tom Thibodeau, when they faced injuries, they still maintained the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. That one season when Derrick Rose was out, when Pau Gasol was getting hurt, and it was relatively Joakim Noah and the crew, and they played great. They played great defense, and they still managed to keep a 4th, 5th seed. But injuries will hurt you, as we're seeing now. The Clippers, Chris Paul had them playing at an astronomical level. I don't even know how he was doing it. I don't know how he is doing it, but he had them playing at a great level. And then Blake Griffin goes out, who is now serving suspension because he's active. So, but you see how injuries will eventually wear down on your team because just having that one body out the lineup can hurt you. And you saw how it even hurt a team like the Cavaliers in the Eastern or in the finals last year. So yeah, I can agree with how injuries affect it. I just wonder who will be that leader because it's seeming like Joakim Noah is going to be gone. But what were you going to say, Khalid?
I feel like the star players' injuries definitely is what really hurt the team. Because, like you said, they was doing fine when they didn't have Derrick Rose, years back, and Joakim Noah was in the lineup. No, Joakim Noah now is just falling apart. So definitely stars like like in the finals with Cavaliers when they didn't have Kevin Love or Kyrie. Missing those stars just really do hurt the team. You can't just leave it to LeBron for the whole thing. You can, but
you got can. The 2 games.
Yeah,
you got the 2 games.
He needs help sometimes.
You know what? See, but way to serve up my segue, man.